Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's webinar is in collaboration with Microsoft and with Reddington. We will be discussing how to enhance your Windows Virtual Desktop environment for better performance and security. Before I hand it over to Chris, I just want to brief you on our speakers. So our speakers for today are Christoph Khalaf, our CEO, and Sandeep Chowdhury, our technical consultant.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you for joining. This is also, I think this is our second webinar for April, which is related to Azure Windows Virtual Desktop. I will go ahead and, before I jump to the agenda, go ahead and brief you about our company for those who doesn't know us. So we are a Microsoft Gold partner, and we've been awarded 4 years in a row Cloud Partner of the Year in Middle East region. And this is the only service we provide. So our team is only specialized in Microsoft Cloud services such as Microsoft Azure, Microsoft 365 Security, SharePoint, Power Apps, and Power BI. So I will go ahead and jump to the agenda to brief you on what will be during the session, and then give you an overview about Windows Virtual Desktop. Then after that, Sandeep will take it over for the live demo and show you also how the product works. So first we will do, as I said, an introduction about WVD. We will show you how the migration is usually done between the desktop virtualization, workloads, how you can use it, what are the benefits of using it, what's the difference between the WVD and the legacy RDS that you used to use as a remote desktop. So this will also be mentioned. We will also show you how the Windows Virtual Desktop will help you simplify, scale out, scale down, have a load balancing, have an availability. So this is also a very important feature in it. We'll show you the tools that are used for accessing, for migrating, and for accessing WVD. We will also have a live demo where we will show you this tool, how it works, the thin client, how it works, how you can access WVD. So all this will be tackled in the live demo. At the end, we'll also discuss the offerings that we have on WVD and the technical workshops that we will also have in the future. So after that, I will jump to the introduction. So just to give you a brief on what is WVD. So WVD, or Windows Virtual Desktop, is a service. It's a platform as a service which is currently on Microsoft Azure. It's a service under Microsoft Azure. So this service is used as, if you've used before Citrix, or you've used any VDI environment by VMware or by Windows. So WVD is kind of a similar solution, but on the cloud. So what are the benefits of it? First, the experience of WVD is different. Under WVD, you only need a Microsoft 365 license, and then you can create your own environment on Azure and your own servers on Azure, and you can access. That's it. It's very simple to deploy, and the user experience is the one that you usually work on. So nothing will be changed. It's the same user experience that you usually have on your laptops on premise. So same user experience, but additional features and additional security, which is the second part here in the slide, which is you have an enhanced security. Why you have enhanced security? Because you are using all the components and all the security that Microsoft 365 and Azure Active Directory can offer you. For example, you can have such as conditional access, such as you can have multi-factor authentication integrated. So imagine this was a challenge before with many companies, where a user, in case he wants to access his company data or access the desktop, they wanted a multi-factor authentication for him to make sure that this is the person that can access his data. So now this is also available using Azure Active Directory. The second benefit is the single sign-on. So you only have one username and password, which you use on Office 365 to also access your WVD environment. The third part is the integration part. So you can integrate easily with your local Active Directory in case you need to use the users of your local Active Directory. It will be very easy also to integrate and to use and to access Windows Virtual Desktop with the local Active Directory. The management part of it, which is the back office, and to manage the resources and the pools and the application is very easy. This will be demonstrated during the live demo. It's super easy to manage as an IT, the WVD, to create resources, to add more applications, to even host applications and sessions. So this will be shown during the demo. And of course, you can have multi-session. As we mentioned, it can be under Windows 10 or Windows Server. So this is also there. So as we said, the Office 365, in case you already have, which I guess most of you are under Office 365 now, you can benefit from the Office 365 to also use it on WVD to access the Office applications. This part we will also tackle. There's a slide that mentions which licenses will allow you or you can use under WVD. So this will be also part of it. So one also important feature which is under WVD, which is the bring your own device and bring your own, just nowadays, especially with COVID, especially with the work from home, everyone is working on different devices, not only on corporate devices. Even they are working from mobile, from tablet, from laptops. So you are bringing your own device to access corporate data, which is usually it's a threat to the company because the company doesn't have control to your devices, and you might be a threat. You might transmit malwares or whatever. So in this case, the good thing with WVD is that you'll be installing on any device, any platform. If it was an Android, iOS, tablet, Windows, you can access even from Mac. You can access your session online and continue working. So your desktop can be accessible from any of those devices. No more saving on your laptop and then taking your files and transmitting them to another device to access them. So all of this is centralized. Your session, your virtual desktop is on the cloud. So you can access it from anywhere. And the second benefit is that you're not using anymore the resources of your device. So let's say you want to use AutoCAD or you want to use any software that is, for example, needs high performance computing or a GPU. No need for you to go and to invest again in a laptop or in a desktop having a graphic card, having high memory, high CPU, high disks type, SSD type, which is costly today. So the main benefit is that you can use any PC, even if the laptop is 5 years old, with a memory of 4 GB, with a CPU of dual core. You can use it to only as a window just to access the WVD session, and then you can use the capabilities, the graphic card, and all the capabilities of the Azure resources, which is also an add-on on the cost part. So now you can depreciate, you can make use of your hardware for even couple more years to come. So no need for you to change every 3-4 years the laptops or the hardware. You can keep them as long as they are still working and running. So this is also a very interesting part, which is a part of WVD. So another part, which is the security, which we discussed. From a security perspective, you are accessing WVD from a session which is completely encrypted. So you are not using any real IP, you are not using the remote desktop port that you used to use before, and you know that most of the threats were coming from it. You are not accessing the resources directly. You are using an encrypted link, which Microsoft will provide, and Microsoft is accountable of securing the communication between you and the session. So no need for you to worry about security. It's a private session, secured session. It's encrypted, and all the communication is encrypted between you and the session. Performance-wise, the performance is very high. You will also see a very big difference between the legacy RDP that you used to have, or Citrix, or whatever you used to use, versus WVD. You will see how much it's fast, especially if you are located, for example, in a country where the data center of Microsoft is resilient, for example, in UAE or whatever region. It will be super fast. It's like you are working on your own desktop. From a bandwidth perspective, you are not consuming lots of bandwidth. You are only consuming few kilobytes of bandwidth to access, to download, and to upload the image and whatever is happening on WVD. So the deployment of WVD is also very fast. So if you want to deploy WVD or to migrate to WVD or to have WVD as a backup solution for your current, for whatever you have today on premise, you can do the solution within a couple of days, even sometimes within 24 hours, have it up and running. So WVD can work as a primary solution for you, where remote, especially remote employees can work on it, or it can be as a backup solution for you in case you have any disaster or you have any issues happening in your environment. You just turn it on and you continue to work normally on WVD, or even, which is the most popular solution that we are currently presenting, which is the hybrid use of WVD, where you can have a hybrid environment where some of the people are working on premise, some of the people are working on the cloud on WVD, especially people needing high performance computing, needing lots of resources and don't want to invest anymore in servers, especially for companies that are using resources for a limited time. For example, if you are working on a project and you want high performance computing for 3 months, you will not go and invest in servers and invest in hardware. You just turn it on for 3 months and you pay only for those 3 months as much as you will be consuming. So this is also the benefit of it. Other benefits that and how to access WVD, so is that you have several type of access. So you have to access through, you can access through web, you can access through a thin client. So let's say you don't want to install any agent on your PC, you just can you will have a URL that you will use and you can access the WVD environment on using this URL. You can also access through a thin client. You can also access it from tablet, as we discussed. There's an application that you can install and access it from there. So all you need to have between your on-premise and Azure, in case you want to also have a hybrid environment, is a site-to-site VPN connection between Azure and your local environment. This will allow you to use even application on-premise to host them on WVD, which is also an added value and a feature that is present there. So to continue with the slides, you can host, okay, you can, as we said, you can host Windows 10, you can host Windows Server, you can host many, the operating system that you need and use them on WVD. Now, from a licensing perspective, in case you have the Microsoft 365, the Microsoft 365 E3, E5, or for education, which is the academic license, A3, A5, and the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, that I guess most now of the companies are going to Microsoft 365 Business Premium, especially SMB, you are eligible to use WVD by only paying the resources that you will have on Azure. So the only thing that you need to do is to enable the resources, implement one server, two server, whatever you want to implement on Azure, and then you will be able to use those licenses to access. What will those licenses provide you? Those licenses will cover the Windows 10 that will be hosted on each and every session, plus the Office application. So no need to invest anymore in Office, no need to invest in Windows, no need to invest in something which you used to invest on, or the ASCALs or whatever you used to pay on remote desktop. This is gone. So you only need a license on Office 365. plus resources on Azure. This is how the licensing usually works. So one more thing and one important thing is the scalability and the high availability that you can have. So let's say you have an organization of 300 users, but at a certain time, which is after hours, 50 employees continue on working for after hours support or whatever, or works on the organization resources after hours. You don't want to, let's say you have 4 or 5 servers which is turned on Azure WVD, and after hours you don't want to be paying for those. You don't need those 4 resources to be on. So here is the beauty of WVD, where you can configure automation accounts. You can do within the configuration, like scale down the resources upon need. So if WVD sees that, for example, the resources are not needed for those simultaneous users, automatically the resources will scale down. And then after a certain time, they will scale up. If, for example, the number of users increases by 100 or 200, automatically it will scale up. And you will only be paying for whatever resources are on. So you will not be paying, for example, 24 hours for all the servers and all the resources. So this is also a very nice feature. The second feature is the load balancing part. So let's say you have 100 users concurrent working together. You have, this will be explained also by Sandeep, how you can able to host those sessions and distribute them among several sessions and several servers. Let's say one server goes down, automatically those sessions, let's say you have 200 users, 50 on each server. One server goes down, automatically those 50 will move and will be distributed among the 3 other servers. So no downtime in this case. So this is also one feature which is very important on WVD. The other part is the FS logics that will be also discussed by Sandeep, where you will be able to host the profiles into a centralized storage on Azure. This will not affect anything related to the server. So let's say you are connected to one of the servers. Let's talk about how we used to work before. Before, we used to access a server remotely, or to have a terminal server and access the server remotely, but the profile were hosted on the same server. So let's say the server goes down, my desktop, my files, my sessions are also going down, because my profile is hosted on the same server. Whereas now on WVD, you can host the profile on something called Azure file storage. And those Azure file storage are very secure and not accessible, and you cannot execute anything on them. So it's very secure. So those profiles will be hosted on the storage, and then the virtual machines and the WVD session will read from those servers, from those storages. So whatever happens on the server level, your profile is always maintained. So this is also a feature that we will be seeing. So I guess I jumped maybe also in some more details than an introduction, but I just wanted to clarify for you the benefits and the advantages of WVD nowadays. I'm going to jump now to my colleague Sandeep, who will be demonstrating in a live demo the WVD and how it works. So Sandeep, please, if you can. Yes.
Before we jump, we have a few questions.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so Bilal asked about the sizing. So for a user connecting to VDI, like for instance, an RDP take 250 to 500 kilobits per second, and adding another SSL connection for 64 kilobits per second per user, how much in kilobits per second?
Yes, so Bilal, we will be providing you more insights on this and calculations, because we need more details to provide you an accurate answer. So we will be contacting you, and we will discuss this part, which is the bandwidth part, because this is also dependent on the latency on the region where you are hosting the servers. So the calculation of the bandwidth is usually an estimation on how much you might use, but basically very low bandwidth is needed per user when they are working on WVD. But this is also reliant on what you are doing on WVD. If you are hosting and working on high performance computing and graphics, like 3D rendering or whatever, you might consume a bit more bandwidth than if you are using as in you are working as a normal user. So we need to understand all those requirements from you to be able to give you an accurate question. And now you reminded me of discussing one thing which is also important, that on WVD you can run several types of server. You can, let's say you have 100 users, but 20 of those users works on 3D rendering and high performance computing, but 80 only works regular stuff on Office and whatever it is. So here you can also have several servers. One server or two servers can be low spec servers, and other two servers on high spec server. And you can distribute those users based on the application they are using, which server to access. So if you want to open, for example, AutoCAD or whatever, automatically they will open it from the server, which is the high performance server. If they are opening Word and Excel, they will open it from the servers that are low spec server. So this also will help on the performance and the cost optimization. Other questions, Nida? What do we
Yes, we
have?
do have another question. It's do you support applications virtualization versus full desktop virtualization?
Yes, there is application virtualization, and Sandeep will show you how you can either host a session or you can host an application on WVD. So this
Yeah,
will
Mr.
also be,
Sarf, that's not the question.
yes,
In the VDI world, there are two approaches. One
yes,
is you give every single user her or his own desktop,
mm,
and that user, irrespective of where she or he is connecting from, has a full set of applications. Office 365 being basic, but other applications. It could be HR, it could be uh, a bespoke developed application. So that's one
yes,
approach, and it's called full desktop virtualization. The other
true,
approach is one where you virtualize an application on a server and everybody else uses it,
true.
which is what you alluded to in your last conversation. The What worries me about your presentation is that the cost implications of one or the other are not clear on Azure, and people end up with a bill that is extremely high.
Mm.
Um we're having difficulty convincing people to move to desktop virtualization on the cloud with Azure as opposed to things on site. So if you could put some clarification on the support of these both of these virtualization approaches and specifically cost related to them.
Yes, so here, true. There are two types, as you said. There are two types of virtualization available in Office 360 in Azure WVD. The first one is the full
That's
session.
the way the market is going. There are two ways of
True,
two approaches. Okay.
true. So there's the full desktop
There's a world out there beyond
virtualization.
Microsoft, by the way. Huh?
I know, true. So this is why we're here to clarify how the things will be done, and especially on the cost part, which, as you mentioned, it's a tricky part. If we don't do the right sizing, you might end up like paying for things that you weren't, like, for example, you didn't calculate them or weren't budgeted. So this is why we clarify, and we should do the proper calculation for the back end, how it will be. So just to come back to your question, we have two types, which is the full desktop virtualization, as you mentioned, where a full session having applications within the desktop. It's like you are accessing your laptop, but you are accessing it on Azure. This is the full desktop virtualization, and you will have access to applications based on the host pool that your user fits in. This will also be covered in the demo. The second part is the application virtualization, where you will not access a session, you will access a window, and within this window, you will only see the applications that you have access to. For example, AutoCAD, Google Chrome, whatever it is. And when you run those applications, you will also not access a session or a Windows. It will run on your laptop, but using the resources that are hosted on Azure. Both calculations on Azure are the same. So your cost is the server running in the back end. This is your only cost. If
I mean,
whether it was an
you
application,
just hit a very, very sensitive point. You talk about AutoCAD, which is extremely graphic intensive versus, standard web applications. The sizing and the cost is I don't, you know, they don't.
It's different.
They're very,
It's
very different. I mean, I'd be very careful how you'd position this.
It's
Very,
different
very,
because
very.
AutoCAD, as I mentioned before, AutoCAD, whenever you will run it on the back end, we will have servers, for example, NV series servers, which are the servers that have high memory, high CPU, and they have a GPU within those servers. But whenever you run, let's say, Office application or Google Chrome, we will redirect you on a server which is a low spec server, only having, let's say, for example, 8 GB memory and 4-core CPU. So let's say you have 50 users accessing right now the Office application, but not accessing AutoCAD. So you will only be paying, if the AutoCAD server is off, you will only be paying for the server that is running under Office. But whenever you are turning on the AutoCAD server in the backend, let's say you have 3 or 4 servers for the high performance computing, and you have 50 users running on AutoCAD. If you have all the 50 working together, all the 4 servers will be on. But if you have 20 of those 50 working on AutoCAD, 2 servers will be off and 2 servers will be on. This is based on the configuration we will put in place. In this case, you will only be paying for the cost of, or the hourly cost of the servers that are on. So there's
Right.
nothing else additional that you will require to pay, only the cost of the servers and how much time that they are on. This is the calculation you do. It's very simple. If you are running AutoCAD 8 hours a day, 2 servers, your cost will be X. This is how the cost is calculated. Straightforward.
Do you have historic data on that with NV, let's say AMD NV4 series and stuff like? Do you have historic data about what you're talking about here? You know, do you have a client that has run 20 AutoCAD users concurrently for 8 hours a day over 3 weeks? Do you have data on cost?
Yes, we have data on cost, and we have a
So
client running on even an
we'll take it
application.
offline. We'll take it offline.
Yes.
Okay, please.
Yes,
Thank you.
yes. We even have a client that is working on an application which is much more heavier than AutoCAD, a 3D application, and we can also have a testimonial with them. They will also share with you their experience because they have many users working on it, and I think it's one of the most we can say the software that needs performance, especially when we are talking about GPU. So yes, we have, and we have on AutoCAD. So we will discuss this if you want privately together,
Sure.
and we'll provide you several scenarios. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry for
Thank
having
you.
interrupted.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
So the other
And
question, if multiple connected users connected to WVD server, how we can monitor each session from admin side? This will be shown now in the demo. So those questions, we will have the answers in the demo. If your answer wasn't tackled, we can go back and answer you for this question, but you will see it within the WVD. All right. So please, if you can start the demo, and then I guess more questions will pop up during the demo.
Sure. Thank you, Chris. Hi, everyone. My name is Sandeep. I was working as a technical consultant over here in Excotech. Today, we'll walk through the demo of the virtual desktop from basic for the user access, how they'll access, and the hosting of the remote applications and all. Even I'll show you the minute detail parts of it. Just give me a second. I'll share my screen. Then we can jump into the demo. Hope everyone can able to see my screen. Here, like in my desktop, I have already downloaded the thin client. Like this is a setup where you can install it on each and every computer, or you can push it through a group policy. It's an MSA package. You can download it from the Microsoft website, and it will about like 30 MB. Like I'll show you the user interface experience first, then we will jump back into the backend and all. So once you install the application here, you will get an option called subscribe. After clicking on the subscribe, it will ask you the logins for the Office 365. As the single sign-on is enabled on my computer, as I logged in with the same user, it's showing up me the user. It will automatically log into the application. Here, I can see the resources that I have access. Like, let's say if I have access only for the remote desktop, I can see only the remote desktop. Or if I have access to the only the applications, I can see only the applications. As Chris mentioned before, here we have two types of servers. One is the GPU enabled virtual machine, where we are running the AutoCAD and the other 3D rendering images with high GPU performance. And here we have the basic normal compute machine, which are hosting the normal Office applications like Outlook, OneDrive, and the Google Chrome. Here I'll show you the both experiences over here. Here, like for giving the assigning the permissions to the user, either you can, like, let's say if it is an the user working only on the ERP system, like the ERP apps, you can the host the apps like the remote apps, and you can give the access to the only the remote apps. So whenever they click on it, the session will be initiated on the server, but the application will run on the user PC. So that
So
means,
here, just here, Sandeep, sorry to
yeah,
interrupt. So here where we're saying that also the access to those resources, you can use the functionality of the multi-factor authentication because you are using Azure Active Directory
yes,
to access. So here in this case, you are able to use the MFA to access. And this is where we are showing you, if you see down, this is the session desktop, and this is the application virtualization. So both of them are available. Now here, as you can see, Google Chrome is running in your PC. If you look down at the tab, you can see Google Chrome icon, but having the remote connection icon on it. This means that it's running on a different server. So if we go now and test the speed and see which server is using, which bandwidth you are using, it will be Microsoft Data Center, as you can see here. You are going up from a Microsoft IP address, and you are even using the bandwidth of Microsoft. So even your bandwidth is not being used to hover over the internet or to hover over anything that you need. So you are using the internet of Microsoft and dedicated for each and every user. So, and the internet speed can go up to 10 GB per second. And this number can go up to 2000 megabytes per second based on the machine. So this is also an advantage of using the application or the remote application part. So this is for an example of Google Chrome on how you can run an application without accessing a session. So here we didn't access a desktop, we didn't access a Windows server or Windows 10. We just opened an application and we are using the backend resources of Microsoft. So same for any other application. It can be AutoCAD, it can be Outlook, whatever you need can be hosted as an application here. So this is, for example, another application. So any application that you can use can be hosted here. So below you can see the WVD20 GPU. This is a session desktop. So this is the icon of the session desktop. This is another type of access where I will be accessing my own desktop online. So no need for me to use my laptop anymore or to rely on the resources of my laptop. I am accessing a session online, as now we will be seeing. This is Outlook, for example. Outlook running from and using the resources of the server, but opening within your laptop. This is the session desktop. It's a bit similar. It's a bit similar to the RDS, the Access, but the performance is way better. Look here how Sandeep is working on it. It's very smooth, very fast, no delays. Even we are using Teams to see the session. You can feel that the delay is very minimal. So it's like you are working on your own PC. So here we are showing that how you can access your session desktop, and within the session desktop, you can have a bunch of applications that you can manage, that the admin can manage and can host. And we can, for example, here we are hosting a GPU. Okay, we are hosting a GPU here. This application, if you run it on your PC, it will not run. So this consumes GPU because on this server, you can see that there's a GPU installed on the server and is working on it. So this is an example of a 3D that can run on the server and use the resources of the server and not your resources. So this is also a feature that is in the session desktop. So please
So
go ahead, Sandeep.
these NV4 series are running in the Azure data center in the UAE, or where are you running them from?
Yeah,
Yes, they
as
are
of now,
available in
this
the.
server is in West Europe. We have availability in UAE as well.
So
Yeah,
something like an AMD NV4 is available in the UAE?
Yes,
That's
in
strange.
the UAE, you have the NV12,
and
NV48, and NV24 machines,
yes,
Uh,
which are available in the UAE. It comes with
these are all AMD SKUs, or they have NVIDIA SKUs, or what are they?
no,
no,
those are NVIDIA Tesla 60 and
yes,
Tesla 80
Okay.
SKUs that are running in the UAE. You can go up to 8 GPUs under the same
Okay.
servers,
No, no,
which is
I know.
present.
I wasn't aware of that. Thank you.
yeah,
So yes, it's available in UAE and the other regions. Okay, so
yes.
this is for the GPU. Let's go ahead, Sandeep, please.
Yeah, and the internet speed also varies on the type of the machine that it will choose. Like the Microsoft will have the backbone of internet connection of maximum 40 Gbps per as the internal network. As the size of the machine increases, the bandwidth of the machine is also get increased, obviously according to the size of the virtual machine. Here, for the GPU-based virtual machine, we are using like 8 core and 28 GB RAM virtual machine to as we hosted some of the rendering applications and some of the AutoCAD was there. The AutoCAD was not licensed, that's why I'm not able to show it to you. And if you can see, like you don't see any delays in even if I'm in the remote desktop connection, you can see the image that is rendering or running the test on the GPU was very clear, and you can see the frame rates over here and the temperature of the CPU or the GPU on or on the constant time. So, as you are hosting any higher applications like video rendering applications, where you are editing and uploading to over the internet, you can take the advantage of the server, and you can take the advantage of the bandwidth as well for the upload and the download speed.
And this is considered the smallest GPU machine where we are
Yes.
demonstrating. So this is the smallest one that you can have on Azure.
Yes.
So yeah. All right,
This is
Sandeep.
the yeah. This is the basic model of the virtual machine on the Azure while compared to the GPU. And I'll show you the desktop experience for the small machine that we hosted the normal apps as well. And I will jump into the other ways of accessing the client.
And you can see here, I have the option to give access to the users to sessions and applications, or only applications, or two types of sessions. For example, in this here we are in this demo, Sandeep have access to two types of sessions, which is one connecting to high performance servers, and the second one connecting to low performance servers, like the one that he is doing right now.
Yeah, this is the basic machine with D series with 8 GB RAM and 4 core processor, where you can install your own applications like AutoCAD, sorry, not AutoCAD, the ERP applications or the normal MS Office, Word, Excel, and you can give them the access like as a session desktop or a remote app. So you can divide your workloads on in your organization according to the workloads. If it is an CPU, GPU based workload, you can host it in a different server, and you can give them the different taxes. And if it is a normal workloads, you can host it in a different server, and you can give them the different taxes. Yeah, as of now, I have logged in with the remote app. Now I'll try to log in as in the from the web browser. I can log in from anywhere in the world, and any mobile application like even you can log in it from the mobile phone or any tablet. There is an URL for the WVD, like it's rdweb.wvd.onmicrosoft.com. So once you open this URL, it will ask you for that authentication with your Office 365 credentials, where you can integrate the MFA as well. Like before reaching this application, you can enable the MFA as well for the security purpose. So like how you are accessing the webmail or the web content or the SharePoint, the same way you can enforce the MFA for this. So like
And
you,
just one thing to add here, that this URL that Sandeep is mentioning is generated by Microsoft. So you are not masking this URL. There's no security issues. This is generated and it's encrypted, as we said, by Microsoft. And one important thing is that here you can use the capabilities, as we said, of the conditional access, for example, from Microsoft 365. Let's say you want to prevent your users to access the WVD from outside UAE or outside KSA. You can use even geolocations to only, for example, let people access WVD from within a certain country or a certain IP address or a certain real IP or even local subnet. So all those security features are also available here. You can also prevent users to access, for example, WVD if their PC is not having the latest or having an antivirus up to date or having the latest Windows 10 patch. So all of that now you have access to them because of the integration of WVD, Azure Active Directory, and Azure Active Directory Premium.
mm, yes. As Chris mentioned, you can put the conditional access in place as well. Like you can do that the conditional access policy using the Intune, where you can access the WVD application only if the device is compliant and with all the latest updates. Then you can mark in that way as well, or you can put the conditional access policy on the geolocation as well. Here, like I have logged in to the one of the machine with the GUI experience, like where I have opened the URL and I have logged in. While coming to the any of the Android or iOS applications, you can download the remote desktop app, which is available in the App Store, and you can log in it from there. And even no need of entering of this URL as well. You can add this URL onto your domain. So whenever like it worked as a auto discovery, you can add this URL as an CNAME, where it will automatically search it and it will automatically take you to that path. And while coming to the backend, I'll show you to how to host an application here, and how to give the access to the host pool and all in this thing.
Sandeep, before that, can you show us how you can also connect your own local drives to WVD?
Yes,
And this
sure.
is also a nice feature just to show them how you can, how it's hybrid, and even your local drive can be hosted on the WVD machine.
Yes.
So if this also can be shown, please.
Yeah, when you initiated a connection using the remote app, like the client app, the automatically whatever the drives that are attached to your local PC will automatically redirect it to the WVD machine. Not only the drives, even if you have added any printers to that particular machine, it will automatically get redirected to over here.
Usually, if you have used RDS remote desktop before on Azure or AWS or any of those clouds, the main problem that everyone has was the printing part, the delay of the printing or adding a printer to cloud servers. So now automatically it will redirect. If you have it on premise, automatically it will redirect to the WVD session. Same for the local drive that you have. Same for everything that is
Yeah.
mapped to your PC. It will show here as Sandeep is
Yeah.
showing.
Yeah, if you can see it over here, here it's showing the network drives, two network drives, which is normally attached to the virtual machine. And there are two drives which are redirected from my local machine. That means the C drive that is there in my machine, I can directly access it from here. And I can see the content, and even I can copy paste it. Or if you want to restrict the copy paste, and if you want to restrict the redirections, we can do the restrictions as well. You have the flexibility of allowing them, and you have the flexibility of restricting them as well. As we came here, I just want to show you one more thing as well. Here we are having a file share, like using the Azure file sync. This particular file share is available in the local on-premises server, and my Azure network and the on-premises network are not connected because we are using the Azure domain name services to authenticate. We are not using the local Active Directory services over here. I'll go and jump into that as well in after this. Here, I just want to mention we are using the Azure file sync technology over here to sync the on-premises file server to the Azure or the WVD without any site-to-site VPN. Like if you can see, this is my on-premises server. I have RDP on it. If you can see the IP, it's a local IP. I have logged in, and I have some files over here, and I can see all the files in the WVD as well. Like for testing, I'll create one folder as well. Like and it was created over here, and it will appear on the same WVD machine that we have RDP'd over here. Like it will take, if you can see the folder that I have created over here on the local machine, it was appeared over here as well. And
But
I
here,
have
just to
mapped,
clarify
yes,
how the synchronization is working, we are not only sharing a file between our local server and the WVD server. There's a middleware, which is the Azure file sync, which is not running either under Windows or under Linux. It's a technology on Azure called Azure File Share, which is a storage. Sandeep also can show us from Azure portal where also the files are stored. This storage is attached, and imagine you have a storage, for example, in HP or IBM or whatever storage you are using on premise, and you are attaching servers to it. Imagine that this storage now can be on Azure, and you can attach it to a local server and at the same time to a cloud server. So whatever is happening and whatever data you are storing on cloud or on premise, they are synchronizing between using the Azure file sync. Why in this case? Because Azure file sync, as we mentioned, is very secure, and you have the backup component of it already there. You have archiving also already there. So imagine that you have today 10 TB of data, but you are only using 1 TB of data. You can automatically, using Azure File Share, move those data from a hot tier or a premium tier to a cold tier, which is considered archiving tier. In this case, you will be paying less, and you will be archiving your data for as much as you need, 10 years, 20 years, whatever you need. So this is also the advantage of using the Azure File Share. Sandeep will also walk us through it later on.
Yes. One more thing to mention here is the authentication. It's very important that Azure File Share can authenticate with a local Active Directory and your Azure Active Directory. So whatever you have, any authentication on-prem, anything, it can be replicated easily, and Azure File Share can authenticate. Thank you.
yeah, and as we talk about the FS logic and before as a roaming profile, and we have shared the same profiles in the same file share as well. If you can see, it's showing one of the user profile over here and the user with the username and the Active Directory SID. So like you can use it as an file server, which you can synchronize the files from on-premises to the Azure, and you can create one more file share in the same storage account, and you can put the roaming profiles in that particular thing. So like you will get to use of it in the host pool if we have the servers more than 2 servers. Like if the users are switching between the servers, like let's say if the first user today one user has logged into the server 1, tomorrow morning he's logged into the server 2, he will have the same profile and the same data on his WVD desktop. So
But
because of the
if you're
FS load.
using Sandeep, if you're using dedicated VDI,
Okay.
once one person logs into a machine, then it's dedicated to him, right? The other
Yes.
person cannot log into that machine, right?
Yes. Like
There's
it's a
two ways. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's two ways here. And Sandeep explain later on how you can use the breast first or the whatever solutions you have here,
yeah.
depth or breast first. You can reserve a machine for a user, or you can have several sessions on the same user. This is
Yes,
up to the
exactly.
configuration you want to do. So also this will be shown by Sandeep.
All
Yes.
right.
Either you can dedicate a whole machine, like if you want to dedicate, if you have 10 users in your company, you can dedicate a 10 virtual machines with 2 core 4 GB RAM for 10 users, like 10 different machines for them. Or what you can do, you can take a high specs machine like with the D series 8 core and 32 GB RAM, and you can pool them in the same machine. So even they open the applications in multiple desktops, the application will be opened in multiple times for as per the user requirement.
Okay, but then that would be like a shared VDI, right?
Yes, shared VDI.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, that the scenario is like if you want to just publish applications, you can use shared VDI, like which is a
Yes.
high-end machine where a
Yes.
lot of users will use it. And
Yes.
if you want to give a dedicated machine, you use a little bit lower end machine. So that,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
You can do the in here as well. Like the only difference what you will be there in the personal and the pooled is in the personal they'll have their own profiles on the same machine. In the pooled one, the profiles will be on the different machine in the different place. Or as we mentioned, it can be a storage account. Or here you can use it and you can put the profiles in the same machine as well. But in case of like if the user is switching from one server to the other server, he will not get the data. That is only the issue over here.
Okay.
Yeah. Here I'll show you the sessions as someone has mentioned, like how can they take the control of the sessions. Here you can see the session controls over here. Like if any of the user has logged in, it will show the connection status. As I connected and disconnected a couple of times, it's showing as disconnected. Even I can log them off from them here, or even I can talk to them by sending a notification from here to the users. I have sent a push notification. If I am login to that particular desktop, I will get a notification. I think I was in a different desktop, like that's why I'm not get it. I'll show you that in the other one. I think I have logged in with to the high performance host pool. Yeah, this is the host pool that I think I have logged in. Uh, from here also you can see the number of user logins of that particular machine, and you can take the control or control on it. Just give me a second. See, like let's say if I want to log off the users, I can click on log off. Like if any active sessions are there, it will automatically log off those sessions. See, I have logged into this particular machine and it was logged off automatically. And while giving to the permissions, here you can give the permissions in two types. As I told you, we have hosted and as a normal desktop and the remote desktop. You can just click on only the, if you want to give it the access to only for the remote tabs, you can click on the assignment. Here you can give the permissions in two ways. Again, like even you can select individual user and you can give the permissions, or you can give the permissions on the group wise. You can create a security group, email enabled security group, and you can add the users to the security group, and you can give the access to them from here directly.
And again, here comes the added value of the integration with Office 365. If you have created a security group in Office 365, so you can apply even the access of WVD and the permission on WVD based on those groups, that security groups that you have created in Office 365. So this is also another added value where you have everything under the same platform.
Yeah.
Christoph, you were mentioning about the conditional access. Okay, so now the
Yes.
thing is, once you create the VDS, you can actually apply the on-premise group policy, right? Because this machine will be added to your local AD. But then how does conditional access help? What all things can we do with conditional access on VDI?
Here you have several options. You can
Do we have
join
like
the
some
machine.
templates? Yeah, okay.
You can join the machine to the local AD, or you can keep it joined to the Azure Active Directory, but it will be authenticated with your local Active Directory. But in this case, you can either use Intune to control the machine, since you will have Intune to control the machine and to push policies, or to use your local Active Directory to push policies on it. So, but since you have now your local Active Directory synchronized with Azure Active Directory, you will have the capabilities of using conditional access because you have a single sign-on now. So
Right.
conditional access will apply. So you can both use both now Intune and your local Active Directory policies to control the machine.
Okay. And one more thing is regarding the Windows patch management. So is it can it be configured in such a way that it is done automatically by the Microsoft, or we have to manage it ourselves?
Also, you have two options. If you are using WSUS
Okay.
for the patches, you can patch it as a regular PC that you have on premise, or you can use Intune to also deploy the patches. So it's also up to you.
Okay.
Here I'll show it to you how to host a remote app. If the app is installed already on that particular machine, you will get an access over here. Like all the install applications will be shown up over here. So you can just select that particular app and click on save. So who all are there in this particular assignment group? They all get that particular app. So I have now deployed a remote desktop application to the for the remote users. Just once it's published, if I click on refresh, I'll get automatically the app that I have published over here. See, the remote desktop application is already there here. So it's really easy to host an app, not only the installed apps. Here we have a different option like where you can see the file path which is installed on that particular system, or you can do your MXIX package and you can upload the package as well to over here and host it as an app.
Okay, Sandeep, I have an operational question. The thing is
Yes.
that many a times what we have seen is when you go to the host pools and when you look
Mm.
at the individual machines, that it
Mm.
shows that it requires your attention, and many times you have to restart the virtual machines. Have you encountered such situations like where you have to restart the VDIs, and if yes, why does it happen often? Because this is what I have seen in our environment.
Like what exactly the issue you got?
Like it
Like
shows like if you go to this like here for example, if you go to the
unavailable?
session host, yeah,
Yes.
unavailable, yeah, unavailable,
Yes.
yes.
Unavailable in the sense it might be two reasons. One is like you're using the old version of WVD or you're using the latest version,
Latest version.
the 2021 spring, 2020 spring, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. In that, it can be two reasons. Either it can be shut down, or there will be a registration key it will talk with the RD agent, which is installed on the particular virtual machine got expired.
Ah, okay.
Here, if you come to the host pool, if you come on to the host pool, there is a
Yeah, yeah,
registration
yeah,
key.
yeah, I've seen it.
For
Yeah, yeah.
this registration key, it is valid only for 1 month. You need to renew the key for
Yeah, this
every.
is what we do. Like for example, if you have to assign the same machine to another user, we generate
Yes,
a new key and we assign
yes,
it to the new user. Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Okay.
This might be the reason.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, if you can see the available host pools machines over here, if the host pool is not available, it will show it as an red mark that the users cannot log into that particular
Yeah,
machine.
exactly. We have seen this issue many times. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that might be the issue. Yes, as I showed it to you, it's really easy to host an app. And I want to show you the other properties as well. Here we'll have the properties where you can control the session host behavior, like in the sense like you can control the settings like RDP properties, where you can control the copy paste from your local to the WVD, and here we are there here, like if you can enable the RDP credentials and all, And if you want to run any script on the startup of the session, you can put the script over here. You can specify the reconnection times. If the session is reconnected, disconnected, you can enable the reconnection automatically, and you can do the compression of the traffic and the RDP video playback. And as I mentioned it before, the devices that are redirected, you can control it over here. Either you can block disable the redirection or enable the redirection. And even the USB devices or the cameras, like let's say if the user is using the Teams on WVD, here you can control the redirection of the mics and cameras to the WVD, or you can restrict them from here. As I mentioned it before, here we got an option to redirect the printers that are available in the local machine. Here you can block it or you can allow them.
And one important thing is for also the security of the data, that you can prevent users from even copying or pasting data from within the WVD session and their PC.
Yes.
So this will also make sure that no data is being leaked from the WVD session, or anything maybe copied from within your PC to the WVD. So this is also an important feature that is there.
Yeah, in the advanced DP properties, where you can put one query over here, which you can find it in the Microsoft Docs, and you can enable the copy paste between the local PC and the remote virtual VDI environment.
How about Microsoft Teams, installing Microsoft Teams on VDI? Is it, I believe that it's not as straightforward as installing it on a normal PC, right?
Yes, like
Yeah,
it is
even we are facing the issue with the cam. Actually, I installed the multimedia. There was a recommendation from Microsoft to install the Teams, but still the facing issues. The reason is because user cannot get the camera inside, and they have multi screens, and the multi screens is also not working. By the way, I have a professional ticket open with Microsoft, and they are working on it, but still we are facing this issue.
And I want to ask you one thing, how you're accessing the WVD? You're accessing through the client or you're accessing through web?
No, we are accessing through app. Yes, client.
This client.
Yes.
Usually when you access it through the client, it will automatically work everything perfect. I don't know what exactly the issue, maybe something from the Microsoft backend.
Mhm.
Yeah. So here,
Sandeep,
like,
Sandeep, maybe we can, guys, after the session, we'll connect with you. Maybe we can check if
Sure.
we can help or support on any of those issues. So, Rida, please, if you just uh, mention that just to contact the guys for after the session to check with them if we can support or help in any way.
Yes.
Sandeep, if it's a possible, thanks, Chris. Sandeep, if it's a possible, yeah, really, I really appreciate, because we are facing this issue for more than 50 users.
Okay.
It's not, yeah. I don't know, it's a local permission issue or something, but when I'm logging with the administrator account, I can get the cam on Teams.
Okay.
Yeah, for the other, I cannot. And the multi screens, yeah, we are not even, it's not working for even one user.
Okay.
So
The multiple
yeah,
screen, multi-display.
yes, yeah, the multiple display, yes.
Okay.
The and yeah, and one more thing, in a start, I put one question. If we publish the teams, can we publish in app teams in apps?
Maybe we did not try it, like publishing the Teams as an app. Maybe we can try. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they are facing the issues in a
Mhm.
video conferencing, and in the voice issue as well. There is a
Mhm.
speed issue maybe. So I was
Mhm.
thinking if we will publish it, so maybe it will be the good idea. So
Yeah.
if you can check for me, yes.
Sure. Sure.
All right, sir.
Yeah. Yes. As I shown it to you, the
Sorry
backend.
to sorry to cut you again. You will reach me, or I have to reach you? What is the workaround?
Gida will reach you
No,
from the.
we have your contact, Rida. We have the his contact, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. We
Okay.
will be calling you. And anyways, you at the end of the session, there's also you can also contact us anytime, and we will be contacting you after. But you will also have our contact. Please, Rida, put them on the chat. You're located where in which country? Because we have in different countries we have different teams. So which country are you located? You're in UAE, right?
Yes, yes, in UAE.
Okay. Please, Rida, just add the UAE contact. Okay. The support contact of the UAE and the support email as reference for everyone on the chat, please.
Chris, thank you very much, Chris, for the help. Yes.
Most welcome. Most welcome.
Yeah, here we are using like Azure Active Directory domain name services, which is the managed services from Microsoft for WVD authentication. As we mentioned before, even you can integrate with your local Active Directory as well, and you can deploy the AD Connect and have a single sign-on for the WVD. And here we are using the automation account to automatically turn on and turn off the virtual machines. In the old version, like if you are using the old version of WVD, there we have an option where you can turn on the virtual machine using the logic app, where it even the second machine is turned off. Uh, if the user is trying to request a session, even if the first machine is full, and the second machine will turn on automatically. For this particular latest update, this particular feature is not yet available to auto turn on the virtual machine for the turned off virtual machine. And I just want to show you one more thing over here in the host pool, where you can uh, do the properties like the load balancing thing, where you have two types of load balancing algorithms over here. One is the depth first and the breadth first. The depth first means, like, let's say you have two virtual machine and 10 users. In the depth first, the first 5 users will log into the first virtual machine, and the second 5 users will log into the second virtual machine. In the breadth first, they will do alternately, like the first user will log into the first virtual machine, and the second user will log into the second virtual machine, and the third user will again log into the first virtual machine. The fourth user will be log into the second virtual machine. So that you can, like, according to your requirement, you can select the algorithm, so that you can take the advantage of utilizing the virtual machines for higher capacity to its full load. This is the one more feature that we have it in the WVD. And as I mentioned, we are using the automation account, where it can automatically run books on the virtual machine to turn off and turn on the virtual machines according to the schedules. Like, let's say if your working hours is only for 8 hours a day, you can do the automated schedule, where it will automatically turn on the virtual machine at 9 a.m. in the morning, and it will automatically shut down the virtual machine at 6 or 7 p.m. in the evening. So if you, in this case, if you have the multiple virtual machines, like let's say if you have 5 virtual machines, and if you don't want the users to work even after the office hours, what you can do, you can schedule 4 virtual machines to run only from morning 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can
Sandeep, for
schedule,
this,
yeah.
additional cost is involved, right? For automating this, because we need to buy Windows Workspace, or I mean,
No
Azure
need, like
Workspace. Azure, okay.
log analytic workspace.
Yeah, Log Analytics Workspace.
Log analytic workspace is only for the monitoring. For the automation part, you don't need. There is a additional charge. I think it's minimal, like I think $10 to $15 per month. It will not cost you more than that.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yes, as I was discussing, like if you have 5 virtual machines, and if your working time is from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., what you can do, you can schedule 4 virtual machines, like to turn off at 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., so that it will turn on like that. And you can keep the one virtual machine in 24 hours. Like, let's say even in after office hours, if any user is trying to log in, they have the resources available to accommodate. So that and while coming to the the pricing you will be used only the time that you have used. Like let's say if you're running the virtual machine from morning 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., you'll be paying only for 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. for the compute. For the storage, even the virtual machine is off, you will be paying on storage. And even you, as you can have a site-to-site VPN to your local environment, and you can host the app directly from your local environment to the Azure as well, if you're planning to host the WVD on the UAE region. And the latency is also very minimal, like it's around 15 to 20 milliseconds in UAE, from UAE data center to the to your office. Yeah, and I just want to show you the storage account where the profile has been stored. And we have given the permissions to this particular storage account as a user contributor. That means where the storage, the user profiles will read and write to the storage account. Yes, as I showed it to you, this is the user profile stored it in a different location. Even if I log in, open it, I cannot find anything because it will be stored as a VHD file. Whenever the user try to log into the WVD, it will attach to the VM as a normal file. When they are logging out, it will take the saved data and it will store it to the VHD file. Yeah, this is the overview of the Azure WVD. Like anyone has any other questions?
Hi.
Yes.
In order to deploy in Azure, I have already
Yes.
Azure Azure AD, everything is there. If
Okay.
I want to put in a separate group, so is it a package available? We can deploy, or we need to do one by one, like site VPN one, then again another
No,
storage
you
could
need to
separate.
do it to one by one. It's not a package. It's not a bundle like where you can select everything and deploy. You need to do in the sequence one by one.
Okay, you have any guide for that step by step procedure?
Yes, we can contact you for that, and
Yeah.
we'll guide you on it. We'll contact you on that and guide you on it.
So we need to try that in first. So for that
Yes.
purpose, thank you.
Yes, yes,
Sure.
of course. We will contact you and guide you step by step, and even you can try it yourself to see if it will perform as expected.
Thank you very much.
Sandeep, you were talking about the VDI versions like 2021, which is the latest one. So
Yes.
how can we check what is the version and how can we upgrade if we are not using it?
Just give me a second. I'll show it to you. See, for hosting the app and application management, for the old version, you need to deploy one more third-party app like from the Microsoft. You can manage those sessions in that particular app. Like if it is the latest version, you can see the host pool directly over here, like as an host pool name, and the icons of the application group will be like this. Like if you are in the old version, you are not able to see these options in your WVD resource group.
Okay, it should be like this, yeah, with this like.
Yes. Yeah.
But there is no other direct way of checking.
Yeah, you can check it from the PowerShell or how you're giving the access. You have any idea? Like in the old way, there is no direct option to give the permissions. Either you can give the user permissions via PowerShell or you need to host an application.
Like, what do you mean to say? Like, give access to users to the VDI?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay. So
How
that
you
is
are giving
done
the
through groups,
permission.
right? We have security groups and we add
Yes,
those.
you have the security groups, but where you are adding the security group,
The
like let's
security
say,
groups is there is a AD sync. So this will synchronize with our on-premise AD, right?
Yes. No, like let's say this is the host pool and this is the application group that I have. This is the session desktop. If I want to give the access to the users to the session desktop, in the new environment,
Yeah.
I'll come here and I'll add the group or the user here.
Right.
Like if
I
it is in
think
the,
I
yeah,
think Nazir, you are using the old WVD because you are adding the security group and that's are going through a
yes,
script which is running through a PowerShell.
yes, PowerShell.
Yeah, so then I think so. It's the old one. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it is the old one, how do we upgrade to the new one?
From Microsoft, there is no direct tool like to migrate from the old version to the new version. But it's better to redeploy the entire thing in the new one. Or there are some third-party tools where you can try it out for migrating from old to the new version.
But Sandeep, there is a workaround. What he
Yes,
will do, he will just create a host pool, the new host pool, and
and
after that,
they can add the existing virtual machine to the new
right,
host.
right, and then the existing virtual machine, they can just add the generate the key and put it in a
Yes,
his.
exactly,
Oh,
Yes,
exactly.
okay. Yeah, that's much more easier. Yeah.
Yes,
yeah,
much.
that will be very easier. If you need my help on that, just let me know. So, what's about the link? You will send through a email for the recording.
Yeah, I'll send you a recording link.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.